The trade deadline is right around the corner, and the New York Mets are expected to be extremely active, according to Nelson Figueroa. Today on MetCast, I'm going to throw 3 trades at you that I think could potentially happen for the New York Mets. Let's get into it. What's going on, Met fans? Welcome back to another episode of MetCast. As always, I am Ray, and if you're enjoying this content, all I ask you is to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new here to the channel. Consider becoming a member to make sure you get your comments read live with our guest or on our post-game shows, which we host after every single post-game right here on YouTube. Now, there's been a lot of trade speculation, rumors from Jeff Passan, John Heyman, Bleacher Report, names are flying all over the place. But when you look at our New York Mets, there's probably only a couple positions that they're probably going to be willing to upgrade for the right player. And yes, the New York Mets have guys like Kodai Senga and Sean Manaea back from injury, but who knows what they're going to do. Is Manaea going to be the Manaea of last year, or is he going to be the Manaea of the rest of his career and have around a 4 to a 4.5 ERA? Can Kodai Senga stay healthy for once and pitch an entire season? The odds of them both staying healthy throughout the entire season, the last couple of months and into the postseason, is probably not that great, and that's what leads me to our first trade target. Right-handed pitcher Zac Gallen from the Arizona Diamondbacks has been a popular name amongst people throughout MLB circles. Considering the Diamondbacks are not too far out of the wild card, I think it would take a significant haul to get him. Whenever you're Googling what he's expected to get paid after this year, as he's a free agent, has roughly $5 to $6 million left on his contract this year, it's very enticing for a lot of teams, especially the teams that are over the cap. And you look at Zac Gallen, he has been having the greatest of seasons, but when you look at his last couple starts against San Diego and against the Giants, 2 playoff teams, he's been pretty good. 6 and 7 innings respectively, and he's only given up 1 earned run, and his strikeout rate has been up as well. And it's something that he's not going to be a front end line starter. You're not looking at an ace type pitcher, but when he's on, he can be on. And I think it would take a significant hold. And when we're looking at the Mets farm system, they clearly have what it would take to get him. You're looking at their top prospects. Several of their prospects are considered top 100 prospects, including pretty much their top 5 guys right now. They're either in there or right outside. The Jet Williams, the Jonah Tongues, the Carson Bench, and Nolan McLean, who's been dominating at AAA. Brandon Sproat, over his last 3 starts, has 18 innings without allowing a run, so things are looking up to him. But I don't think it would take one of those top 5 prospects. The guys who I think the New York Mets would have to give up, you're probably starting out with Jesus Baez, the second base shortstop, down in single A, projected to be up here around 2027, is a high-end prospect, and I could see him within the next year to year and a half being a top 100 prospect. And then you scroll down, Arizona's going to be looking to get young pitching like the rest of the league. You may have to throw in a guy like a Blade Tidwell into that trade, and that's probably the trade that you're looking at, in my opinion. A Jesus Baez and a Blade Tidwell, who we all seen could throw 97, 98, 99. A team like Arizona who loves to have different types of pitchers, especially young pitchers like Blade Tidwell, could throw in with Corbin Burnes down the road, considering he's going to be out the rest of the year. And I think Arizona sees the writing on the wall. They are not going to be a playoff team this year. So Zac Gallen would be coming in at number 3 on my New York Mets list. Coming in at number 2 is Edward Cabrera, the starting pitcher, right-hander from the Florida Marlins, 27 years old, and has 3 years of arbitration left in his contract after this year. The young right-hander who is gaining a lot of attention around Major League Baseball. And there was a rumor earlier this week that the New York Mets have checked in on him and his availability. 6'5", around 220, very versatile right-hander. When you look at his split over these last couple of months, he has been utter domination outside of the month of April, when you look at the month of May, 27 innings pitched, only a 2 ERA. The month of June, 18 2/3 innings pitched, a 2.89 ERA, and then only 2 starts in the month of July, but boy, has he impressed. 14 innings pitched, only 2 runs for a 1.29 ERA, 11 Ks over that span. Back in June, those 18 2/3, 21 strikeouts out. It would surprise me. I'm not going to lie. It would absolutely surprise me if the Marlins were willing to get off of him. It would take a monster haul to get a player like him here, but he has the upside of being the #1 starter for this club. A lot of people mention Sandy Alcantara. He's making a lot of money. Former Cy Young Award winner, not having a great year. I think the Marlins may end up holding on to him. I know Bleacher Report rumored him to be going to the Red Sox, but I just don't see that happening. They're going to hold on to him, hope to resurrect his status amongst MLB circles and flip him for a lot more. But Edward Cabrera, now let's take a look at the haul that I think it would take for the New York Mets to get him. Once again, we go back to the Mets' top prospects, but I'm going to be throwing in a major leaguer in this deal as well, because I don't think that they're just going to take prospects at this time. And when I look at the Mets prospects, it's going to take something of significance. The first prospect I have going in this deal is outfielder Carson Bench, who's absolutely tearing it up down in Double-A, 928 plus OPS, rocking it down there in Double-A. Last year's Mets first round pick. Very high ceiling type guy, but you have to give to get in these deals. So the first prospect I'm including in this Edward Cabrera trade is Carson Bench. The next prospect that I'll be including in this deal would be first baseman Ryan Clifford. Yes, the first base prospect that we acquired over from the Justin Verlander deal has shown his immense power. I believe he's got 14, 15, or 16 home runs already down in the minor leagues. Yes, he has a high whiff rate, but the young 21, 22-year-old has a potential to be a Pete Alonso type first baseman. And if the New York Mets decide they're going to keep Pete Alonso long-term, Clifford, who is strictly a first baseman, lefty-lefty, would kind of be stuck behind him. It would be a lot to give up, but remember, you're getting a 27-year-old right-hander who has been utter dominant for the Miami Marlins, and he's under control for 3 more years. And the last person that I'm going to include in this trade would be Brett Baty. And I hate to say that, but there's been a lot of rumors around that the Miami Marlins have coveted Brett Baty for a long period of time. And I think the New York Mets are set at giving Ronnie Mauricio an extended look over at third base. And I think they view him as the future at third base. I believe either Jet Williams or Luis Angel Acuna Jr. will be the future center fielder. And the Mets are more than comfortable having Vientos be a DH or a trade chip, and McNeil going back to his natural position at second base. So just to reiterate, this trade package for Edward Cabrera, the 27-year-old 6'5", 220 right-hander who's been dominating for the Marlins in May, June, and July. It's not been a short period of time, who has plus stuff, would end up being Carson Bench, the outfielder who's in Double-A, Ryan Clifford, the prospect that we got in the Justin Verlander deal, and third baseman Brett Baty of the New York Mets. Now let's get to the doom and gloom, or as I like to say, the fantasy trade that I could see the New York Mets potentially pursuing. And this guy is a big player, and he could potentially transform this lineup immediately into a World Series contending lineup. Let's take a look. And here you have it. The guy that I would love the New York Mets to trade for, and I tweeted it out yesterday, is third baseman Jose Ramirez. Probably a future Hall of Famer, or right there when we talk about it. And the haul that they would get back is huge. Let me get to the haul first, and then we'll go over his stats and his contract. Right off the bat, you have to give to get, and that's what Mets fans need to realize. Look at our last few big trades that we had to give up. P. Crow Armstrong for 3 months of Javier Baez. You gave up Michael Fulmer, who ended up winning AL Rookie of the Year for the Detroit Tigers, for Yoenis Cespedes. It just is what it is. You want to give up, you want to give to get. That's how it is. So Ronnie Mauricio, right off the rip, a young, promising third base, turning eyes all around MLB, followed by Carson Bench, who we saw in the last the last trade, very high upside outfielder, starting pitcher Noah McLean, who is dominating down at AAA. He's got crazy high potential, but again, you got to give to get. And then second base / shortstop, Mets number 7 prospect, Jose Baez, another high upside guy. But again, he's going to be blocked at the major league level because when you look at this contract, Jose Ramirez, I believe he's got 3 years left at like $20 million a year. So that is going to be stuck for the next few years. He's only 32 years old, so you're going to be getting the rest of his prime. And we look at his numbers this year, 332 at-bats, 301 average, 17 home runs, an OPS plus of 143 with a standard OPS of 878. He is an all-star, and he has shown no signs of slowing down whatsoever. His last few years, all the way back to 2020, OPS. Remember, OPS averages 740 to 750. 800 is considered an all-star type. Anything above that, 900 Hall of Fame. This year, 878. Last year, 872, 831, 869, 893, 993. He has continued to dominate and has showed zero signs of slowing down when it comes to Jose Ramirez. And those are my 3 trade targets that I have for the New York Mets at the deadline. Zac Gallen, Edward Cabrera, and Jose Ramirez. Obviously, Ramirez is more of a pipe dream. That would be a crazy move, an all-in type move with Juan Soto. Think of a lineup you would have your front 5 with Jose Ramirez in it. Probably the best in Major League Baseball. And I know you're giving up a lot, but the Mets have built this farm system in a top 10 farm system. And that's what great teams do. Look what the Dodgers have done over time. The San Diego Padres acquiring talent over there. That's what good teams do. Look what Boston did this past offseason. Having a top farm system netted them Garrett Crochet over the next few years. And even though they're right on the cusp of being a wild card team, they acquire that one big arm. They might have the best 1-2 in baseball heading into the postseason. And we all know that could be good enough to win a World Series. Make sure you guys let me know what you think of my trades in the comment sections, which one you would do, and let me know if there's a player out there you think that the New York Mets should target outside of these 3. Maybe you think it's a Sandy Alcantara or a Lester. You want to go for a Juan Uribe, Kelly Johnson type that as we have discussed on this program multiple times. But again, thanks so much for sticking around. If you enjoy this content, make sure you like and subscribe. Consider becoming a member. That is the best way to support the channel. As always, let's go Mets. Peace.